Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is Bronte Sisters Black Tea Blend, which is from Simpson and Vale. It has black tea, raspberry, papaya, marigold, and I think alfalfa. I think I got that right. Maybe not the right order. Who cares? In this lovely Liberty print with anthropology. You guys don't really need to know that. But, yeah, I thought I'd pick the Bronte Sisters tea. Not that they influenced the tea themselves, because we're doing Victober, my TBR for Victober, and you're going to see a lot of Bronte stuff today. Not all, but some. So, going into this year, I was thinking about last year and how certain things were a success. The books that I picked, the books that I read. I did really well. But there were some things that I picked that I had to either DNF or just probably won't ever get back to, that maybe were a little too complicated. And when I say complicated, just, yeah, I was just getting a little ambitious. And that's okay, but I realized there are some books that are kind of Victorian Literature 101 that I haven't read yet. And that's not good. So this TBR tries to rectify that at least as much as possible. Because there are some books I still won't get to that are still pretty popular Victorian books. But I'm not worried about that, because I'm going to at least get closer. And the other thing is, I have so many Bronte biographies that I want to read. I know it sounds weird. I sometimes enjoy biographies of writers and poets, even more than their literature. But it's better to have read most of their books by the time you read the biographies, right? Usually, anyway. I mean, I have a lot of biographies that I want to read. I have a Charlotte biography, and I don't plan to read any Charlotte this month, although Family Parsonage is looking at me like, hey, I'm waiting. And then Dickens, well, you'll see. But the Brontes, I don't know. I'm kind of itching to read the rest of their biographies. And the one I started earlier this year, I realized was just giving away too much about plots and even some spoilers. So I said, let me do this. So if you've not done Victober before, and if you haven't seen the introduction videos, which you probably have if you're here, but you never know. Victober's a wonderful thing. The main goal is to read more Victorian literature. Even reading one book that is Victorian literature is really pretty cool. And I've actually been trying to do that this year a lot more anyway, and classics in general. But, so Queen Victoria herself, on whom the Victorian age is named after, was the queen from 1837 to 1901. So she was born a little earlier before she became queen, but the time between when she was born, which I think was 1819 to 1837, doesn't usually count for Victorian literature. I suppose if I was going to pick something that was maybe 1836, because I just really wanted to read it, I wouldn't mind so much, but let's not, if possible. So the host for this year, and for many years, has been and is Katie from Books and Things, and Lucy from Lucy the Reader, and Kate Howe. And they have their own challenges that they chose, and then there's a reader's challenge chosen by readers, and a general challenge. So I'm going to read all the challenges and what I picked for them. So the first one, Katie, is read a Victorian book that equates to your favorite modern genre. Now, this wasn't impossible for me to pick because I have more than one favorite genre. So I could pick from any of them. Oh, that's such a nice tea. But I thought I would go by what I use a lot on this channel. What I use, what I do, what I read, whatever. Which is mystery. Last year I did, because every month I'm trying to do, if I don't do a month, I will still try to read in a month a mystery novel of some sort. So almost every month or every few months I'll do a tea and mystery where I talk about any book in that genre that I've read and discuss it, etc. So I thought, well, last year I did Sherlock Holmes, which I think was a reread, yes. And I would love to do Sherlock Holmes this year, but I don't think I'll be able to fit it in unless maybe I read a story. But I can read one of the earlier detective novels, one of the inspirations and that is The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. And I've been trying to get to this for a long time. I read The Woman in White, and I have a couple other books by Wilkie Collins here, but as you can see, this is still, like I said before, one of the basic Victorian novels, especially in the mystery, detective mystery genre, and I gotta do this. And I actually just bought this last year. I think I saw like in one of my Instagram memories or Facebook memories. You know, I take pictures, and they remind you a year later of what you were doing. And this was in my like a haul of some sort for last September. So I was trying to read that last year, so that'll come in later. But anyway, so The Moonstone, I don't actually know a lot about it. I've managed to keep out of knowing a lot about it. So I'm going into this almost blind, which is great. And I do like, even though I don't know about all of the classics, Barnes & Noble classics, I do kind of like the look of the Barnes & Noble classics. I read Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell, which is a pink classic, pink looking classic. It's beautiful. So yeah. So that's the first one. Lucy's challenge is read a Victorian diary or collection of letters. I thought about, somewhere up here I'm not going to reach for it right now, somewhere up there I have a book that I bought a while ago, which is Queen Victoria's memoirs or diaries or something of Prince Albert in the Highlands, whatever, which sounds great, but I thought that was it was a little much for this time, I just think. Doesn't mean I can never get to it, but not now. But I thought, one of the things I love about the Victorian period, if you've heard me talk anything about this time period, this will come in at some point, is the Pre-Raphaelite art. And not just, okay, there were a few artists that were considered the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood in the beginning, but there were a lot of people that came afterwards that were associated with them, that were inspired by them, and they're still kind of considered technically the Pre-Raphaelites. So that's all I'm going to say about them now. I'll probably talk about them a little more throughout the month. We'll see. But I found this. I don't remember where I got this, actually. I think, probably somewhere online, even though it got a little messed up on the side. So anyway, I get so particular about my books and their condition before I've read them. Anyway, so this is the Illustrated Letters and Diaries of the Pre-Raphaelites, selected and introduced by Jan Marsh. So I thought, that's kind of good. Letters and diaries. It's not that big, so it's not like I'm going to read going crazy, and it has a lot of pictures, a lot of the paintings. This is one I saw. Hello. I don't know which angle to do. This is the one I saw, I think, last year. Yes, last November I went to visit my sister in San Antonio, and they just happened to have a Pre-Raphaelite exhibition, which I did not expect, did not plan for, but was happy to do, and this was one of the paintings. So anyway, I haven't, like last year I read a book about Pre-Raphaelites, the sisterhood, about the women that were involved, both artists and models and relatives or whatnot. A relative of Dickens, I think was a daughter maybe, and I think it was Virginia Woolf's mother. I mean, there's a lot of people you would be surprised are involved with the Pre-Raphaelites. So I'm very excited about this. And I'm probably excited about everything. So Kate's challenge is read a new to you book and or short story by a favorite Victorian author. New to you doesn't mean that you've never heard of it, but you've not read it before. And this book, I have seen an adaptation. And shockingly, I haven't read this book. I love Elizabeth Gaskell, and Wives and Daughters, which I just mentioned, Wives and Daughters, I loved. Cranford, I loved. There's more that I probably have to get to, but this one, how have I not read North and South? I know a lot about it, so I can't say I'm not spoiled, but how could I not have read this? So, yes, this is one of the Victorian 101s that I'm referring to, that it's time. Like, it's super time. Big super time. So, the Reader's Challenge is read a Victorian book from a previous Victober TBR that you didn't get to, or one you've been meaning to read for ages. And to be honest, I just combined because this was pretty much on my TBR for last year. I don't know about official TBR, I can't remember, but it was at least a hopeful TBR. And this I've been meaning to get to for ages. So they both fit very well. But there's another one. Where did I put it? Oh, goodness sakes, where did I put it? I have a pile of books near me. Okay, so there's this one that is now also going to be part of, I think Kate Howe is hosting with, oh, I'm forgetting who. Okay, anyway, but it's, I guess, a read-along, and can you believe I've never read Jane Eyre? So I know everything, well, not everything, but I know so much about Jane Eyre. I read the graphic novel of Jane Eyre many years ago, and I've seen some adaptations. I know the story. I read The Eyre Affair by Jasper Fforde many years ago. So I have the basic idea, but the fact is that I've not actually read the novel, so boy, it's time. And it's Bronte, so this, I don't know where I got this. I must have probably got it from that old library sale that I used to go to, because this is ancient looking. And yeah, I think this was from the 60s. I'm sorry, anybody who was alive in the 60s by calling this ancient. But I'm just talking about in terms of, you know, book quality. So at least I have this book, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. Okay, so the general challenge is to read a Victorian book while wearing something... Oh, wait. Yes. While wearing something Victorian or Victorian-esque. Now, I don't really have anything specifically Victorian. I have things that might be considered Victorian inspired, but I do find that a number of friends of mine, or acquaintances, or people who would like to comment on my looks or whatever, when they want to describe how I look, they say, oh yeah, you dress very Victorian. And I don't think people know exactly what that means, because I don't wear corsets. I don't really, my hair is definitely not Victorian. I really need a haircut, but that's besides the point. 10 months and counting. This is long term. But I just, yeah, I can't rush in those things. But you know what? I do understand the whole, you don't have to dress exactly Victorian to be inspired by the Victorian look. So I could do that. But I also have a plan, and I do hope to wear this. It's a little wrinkled now, but I'll show you anyway, when I do my tea and mystery. But, I'll probably wear it a couple more times. This is like the dorkiest thing ever that I ever got. But I'm like, you know what? Totally worth it. Yay! I finally got the stupid Sherlock Holmes hat. Yes! Okay, I'm a little too excited about this dorky hat. I don't know if I'll ever wear it outside, because I will feel pretty stupid if I wear it outside. You know the kind of commentary one gets. But, you know. Plus, it probably doesn't really match a mask right now. Unless I get a Sherlock Holmes mask, and then I can just be completely dorky. But anyway, so that at least, technically, Sherlock Holmes was written in the, mostly in the, I think it was the 1880s, 1890s, and then picked up again a little later when he was resurrected. Yeah, so I don't remember how late the last one was written, but most of them were written in the Victorian period, or at least a good chunk of them, so it fits, and I'm pretty sure the deerstalker hat must have featured at least once in the illustrations during that time. He wasn't really famous for that until later, but I don't know. We know him as the guy with the hat, so very excited about that. I'm really getting, you know, dorky about this, and that's fine. You know, we have to be excited about things, right? Okay, so also there's a group read along, and lo and behold, it's another Charlotte Bronte, and I am perfectly happy about that, because I was one of the people who, you know, voted for it. And I have this lovely volume called the Everyman's Library version of Shirley and the Professor. I have another, this is my sad little story, I have another paperback of Shirley in case I want to tote it with me. I bought it years ago somewhere, used, and it is, I'm not against getting a used book with some underlining, with some scroll in it, but I mean, it's badly highlighted with like a blue highlighter, like in such a way that it's damaging to my psyche to look at it. I know that sounds terrible. Like if I had nothing else to read in my entire life and that's all I had, I'd probably be loving it. But you know, okay, I'm getting dramatic here. But yeah, so I plan to take that with me to London as like the book I read in case I didn't have anything else to read with me on the plane or whatever. And then I was going to buy other books while I was there, because hello, and then just somehow chuck it while I was in London. And because I already had this, or I bought this, I think, earlier this year, and I think, I'll just continue Shirley in here if I don't finish it in London, which I'm sure I wouldn't have. But as anyone who's been watching knows, I had planned to go in March, and that didn't happen because of COVID. And then I had rescheduled not so much the airplane ticket, but my vacation time for the end of September. That ain't happening either. So let's not regret too much, but let's enjoy the literature. So Shirley is one I have not read. I have not read The Professor either. I read Villette, and I really like that, so I'm sure I'll like these. So that's a lot of Bronte, but that's not all. I still have my unfinished business, which I will still continue to try reading, even in Victober, because these are 2 Victorian books, and that is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, which I like, but somehow can't seem to read more than a few pages at a time. And, wait, look at the, this whole bookmark I have for it. I like the tassels, but my cats get a little excited about them, so this one's a little bit messed up. But the teapots. And, so you see I've gotten pretty far. But I need to get farther, further, faster, stronger, something. And anyone who's been watching this since December knows I still have, this is also tasseled, Dombey and Son from Charles Dickens. I want to read this. I just keep not reading it, or only reading a few pages. So that is definitely Victorian. So there's my Dickens for the month if I read any Dickens. I also am, I didn't bring it with me, it's over there somewhere, I'm not going to reach for it, it's big. I'm also well into, when I say well into, it's a huge book, so I'm about page 200 of The Count of Monte Cristo. It's very exciting. It's technically not Victorian literature because it was written by a French writer, but it was written during the time period of the Victorian years, so if I wanted to make a stretch and say it's kind of Victober-ish, maybe. I don't know, but I probably will continue with that book because I'm finding it very exciting, very interesting, and it's kind of a historical novel, which I love. And by the way, I'm not going to get into it too much now. I'll do it more in wrap-ups, I think. I'm also doing the Fall Into Reading Challenge, which I mentioned in the September TBR, which I'm doing the 14, I think it's 14-ish, whatever, categories. And I've done quite a few, but I think some of this will be covered in Victober as well, if not in November. So no stress. So that's all for the definite novels that I plan to read, and etc. and all the challenges. But I have 2 books that I would really like to include, and I can kind of keep reading them into November, which is when I plan to do nonfiction November, which I love as well. And they tie in very well with Victober. They're just not they're not Victorian literature. So the first one is Queen Victoria, 24 Days That Changed Her Life by Lucy Worsley. And she also wrote Jane Austen at Home, which I read last year for Jane Austen July and loved. And I enjoy her writing. She has a kind of chatty way of writing, and I like her documentaries. So this should be kind of a nice little companion. I know some people will complain that, Victoria was not really of the common people, and, there's a lot more about that you should be reading, blah, 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 blah. But yes, but the Eyre was written after Victober, and you know what? I enjoy reading it. So, And then also, this kind of goes very much along with this, and I really do plan to read it, even if there will be probably some spoilers, because I know that his first book had that. Dickens' Fur Coat and Charlotte's Unanswered Letters, the Rouse and... Is it Rouse or Rose? I don't know, I hear it differently from different people. And Romances of England's Great Victorian Novelists by Daniel Poole. So, I found this, yes I did, I found this for $1 in Book Off. And years ago I read What Jane Austen Ate and Charles Dickens Knew, which was fantastic. And did give away some plot points and spoilers and stuff, I think, from different Charles Dickens books, and probably Jane Austen, but I totally ignored that because I had read all Jane Austen by that point. But I had fun with it, and it's very much about Victorian literature, which is what we're focusing on more than anything. So, Oh, look, has a quote from the Reverend Patrick Bronte. I say Bronte. I know it's also Bronte sometimes. It depends on who says it. Oh, I like saying Bronte. You know. We do what we must. And so I'll just read some of the okay, 6 parts, I guess, chapters kind of. Part 1, a low cheap form of publication. Charles Dickens, The Coming of Pickwick, and Murder by the Book. Part 2, it would never suit the circulating libraries. Jane Eyre, Vanity Fair, and the 3-volume Straitjacket. By the way, I haven't read Vanity Fair yet. I started at one point, but I haven't finished it. I don't intend to this year. I know it's also kind of Victorian 101, but I did see a film, so I'm kind of spoiled there. Part 3, What Shall I Be Without My Father? Women novelists in the London of Dickens and Thackeray. Again, the coming of real money, and the novel becomes respectable. So this is really kind of, yeah. Part 4, Do Let Me Abuse Mr. Newby. Newby or Newby? I don't know. I like newbie, sounds... Anyway, literary executors, gossip columnists, and the emergency of the novelist as celebrity. We know Charles Dickens was a massive celebrity. He used to tour everywhere, including the United States. Goodness. Part 5, Terror to the End, the sensation novel. Dickens, dreadfully shattered. Oh. And Anthony Trollope gets a traveling bag and an audience. I love my Anthony Trollope. Anyway, number 6, part 6. We are a novel reading country. Middlemarch and Mr. Mudie's, I guess, Mudie's library. The novel apparently triumphant, but Henry James fails ominously to write a happy ending. I really like the names of these chapters. I think there's some pictures. Let's see. Oh. Ooh, I have cat hair on my... I live with cats, in case you haven't noticed. I don't know. Some pictures and stuff. It's all black and white. This just seems like such an exciting companion to these books. So, will I actually finish all these books? I highly doubt it. But I think I can get pretty far. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys are too, whoever is participating. So, please let me know if you are participating, number 1. And if you are doing a video, please let me know so I can watch your video, whether I'm subscribing to you or not. Maybe I will subscribe to you. And if you're not making videos, please let me know where I could see your TBR at all, whether it's a blog, just random comment lists, Bookstagram, wherever. Please let me know if you've read any of these and which ones you highly recommend if you do. Yeah. And let me know if you plan to dress up at all in October, because I certainly do, but not too much, you know, just slightly. Yeah, if you like talking about Victorian novels, classics, tea, history, mystery, cats maybe, the occasional dog, squirrels, please subscribe. And yeah, thank you very much for subscribing, those who have. I got a few new subscribers since my last post, my last whiny post. Thanks for your comments and encouragement, by the way. So this is Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and book-filled and Victorian-filled day and month. Bye.